So we're going to tie up a gray hare's-ear nymph with a soft hackle on it, which is a slight variation from what most people know. Basically, it's the same thing as a normal gray hare's ear, but with a soft hackle. So I'm going to start out with a size 12 nymph hook, and I'm using Timco this time. Really, any hook is just fine. I like the kind of arc that these have. And still got my red thread on, so I'm just going to give it a red head. Brown is maybe the best color in my opinion, but I've been playing with red a lot lately, and the fish seem to like it. So we just start out by tying on our thread, give it a dozen wraps or so, and then trim that off. And then, as with all soft hackles, we start out with tying on the soft hackle first. This is a pretty big hook, so I'm going to use a palmered method. Just grab a feather out. Whoa. There we go. Again, to prep the feather, pull away the fuzz. And you want it to be pretty sparse, so you only need about 10 strands, just those ones that stick out to the side. Tie it so that wrap our thread back to the front here. There. Tie it so that the feather curves down, and that helps keep it out of your way. And the first wrap I like to keep really loose, and that helps keep it from pulling the feather around the side. Just bring that wrap to the front of the eye, and then all the way back down. And there's a few stray feathers sticking out at the end there. It's no big deal. Bring that all the way down. So that the thread is hanging just behind the barb. And then we're going to take some pheasant tail, 8 or 10 strands. I like a nice bushy tail. And what I do is I pull them straight out to the side like this to even out the tips, and then trim that off. The feather should be, the tail I should say, should be about a third of the length of the hook, the shank. Just enough so they can see it, but not so much that they're going to grab that instead of the hook. And again, I'll start with a real loose wrap, and that keeps it from dragging around as much. And then I'll pull it back to where it's supposed to be. Tighten up those wraps. And then I'll kind of hold this up to keep it in place as I wrap it forward. You want to just keep it on the top of the hook. I'm going to come forward to just a little over halfway up. About like so, 2/3 maybe. And come back just a little more, leave room for the head. And then we're going to tie on a piece of wire. And I've been using copper ultra wire. I like to pull off enough that I can tie a few flies at the same time with the same piece of wire, so 6 inches or so I always like. Start tying that on at the front. And again, wrap all the way forward. Give it a little bit of extra line there. We're going to add some gray hairs of your dubbin. I'm going to need a fair bit. I might have a little too much here, but it's okay. It's just as easy to take off as it is to put on. And this is kind of a loose dubbing, so we'll try not to wrap it too tight. When it's loose, it kind of makes it look slimy in the water. And that's how bugs look in the water. So right up to where the wing back is going to be, and then cross around to the front of the wing. Now we're going to wrap our wire. I like to wrap the wire in the same direction as my thread. Just because when I tie off the wire, it's less likely to slip out. Ties it tighter. Kind of just let that hang there. And then wrap the thread over the wire. Make sure it's fastened really well, so I'm going to wrap it all the way back. And then spin off the wire. Add a little bit more gray hairs of your dubbin to build up the thorax. And this one should generally be even looser. Kind of just build up a nice body there. Then go ahead and wrap the hackle on. Ideally, you want the feathers to kind of curve like towards the body like this. So I twist it around with my fingers just a tiny bit. Draw the feathers back. That helps it wrap in the right direction. And you can kind of continue to draw them back as you wrap around. And then just let that hang. And wrap around the inside of your hanging hackle plier so as to capture those feathers. I don't want to build up the head yet, I just want to hold the feathers down. Trim that off. Now what you're going to do is split those feathers, and you can use a needle or anything really. Just split the soft hackle off to the side. And pull the pheasant tail forward over the partridge. Just kind of draw those back. And then I'll just hold this here as we wrap the thread around it. Pull that nice and tight while I hold it. And that's our wing casing. And we'll trim off the pheasant tail. Wrap back to the front. This is where some people will use some head cement. And that's probably worth it, so I'll give it a little dab. Just a little bit. A little bit more. And we'll give it a few more wraps over that head cement. Then we're going to give it a quick whip finish. And just trim off the thread. You always kind of want to clean up some of these stray hairs. A little bit's okay though. Just makes it look nice and slimy in the water.